Hello.
How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. So nice to be visiting you and podcasting with you again.
I know, it's been a little while, but we're back here in DC. Second time with this setup, you know.
Unfortunately, I think I have to move this. It's so distracting. But it's very cute.
Thank you.
We can do like set decor another time.
We gotta talk about it some more or something.
Yeah, like something, design a studio.
Okay. We also need microphones, as I mentioned
Yeah, well,
before, but
I think only if we podcast more than like once every 2 months or something. Last time we talked, it was before the playoffs started.
yes. So we got a lot to cover.
Mm-hmm.
I think mainly we're gonna talk about the playoffs, trades, and the draft, of course.
Great. A lot to cover.
Okay.
When we did talk last, we made a bet. Do you want to talk about how that bet went?
Not particularly, but to give everyone a rundown, we each picked 3 teams that we thought would win. All of my teams got eliminated in the first round, except for the Celtics. They got eliminated in the second round.
Yeah.
And you picked OKC, so
you owe me $35.
yes, I owe you $35.
I was feeling pretty good about it. I mean, there was even a moment in time where I was thinking, if it's the Knicks and OKC in the finals, because I drafted both of those teams,
guaranteed.
I would have 100%. You could pay me the $35 before the finals even happened.
Right.
So that was pretty exciting to even be in that position. I think none of us even considered drafting the Pacers.
No. I think it would have been hard to predict them to win it, but they were damn close.
Totally.
Feel bad, obviously, for them, for Tyrese Halliburton.
It was a hard end to a season.
I mean, it was tough for a lot of my teams, right? Because Damian Lillard, he tore his Achilles.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Jason Tatum tore his Achilles. And then Tyrese Halliburton's on a heater, gonna save me $35. And then he tears his Achilles in Game 7. It was just...
It's like all hands who rise against me will tear their Achilles.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's pretty terrible. I saw Adam Silver talking about how like 7 players tore their Achilles this season. So
I know, it was insane. It was insane. And something, I don't know how they're going to fix it. It's just, I feel like it was just very unfortunate. Obviously a lot of talk around it, people playing injured, because it was all caused by like calf strains. So, I don't know, just really unfortunate. That was obviously, besides that, the playoffs was very entertaining and fun.
Yeah, did you have like a favorite moment or anything like that?
Well, honestly, all the Tyrese Halliburton game winners were insane. Absolutely insane. He got one in every series.
Yeah.
And obviously the one against the Knicks was crazy. So it was just fun watching him. What about you? Did you have any favorite moments?
I actually really liked watching Anthony Edwards as well. I was really believing in that team for a minute there.
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch them versus the Warriors, like, at all.
At all.
Because Steph Curry was injured.
Yeah, it wasn't...
And it was kind of cooked.
Totally. It wasn't the most interesting series, but I don't know. He's exciting to watch.
It was kind of sad how they folded against OKC. Like, I felt like that could have been an entertaining series, but it surprisingly wasn't.
Yeah, it was just kind of like a meltdown. But I think they were exhausted. Which all the teams were.
How do you feel about your Knicks? Because there's obviously been a lot of talk about them. They were one of your teams. You live in New York. It was a great run, farther than they've made it in forever, but this could have been a good opportunity, I feel like.
I think it was a great opportunity. I think what I'm interested in is when people say, like, this is the best they'll ever be. Like, this was their best chance this season.
But they have next year.
I don't see why next year would be, like, much... Because they're 1 year older? Is that literally all people are saying?
Well, I just don't think that people think that they can win with this roster.
So they were saying, and they basically like gave their entire future away for this roster, and they're saying this is like the ceiling they've maxed out at.
Unless you trade Karl Anthony Towns and or Josh Hart, which would both obviously be big blows.
I personally would much rather trade Josh Hart.
Because he had a rough series against the Pacers.
Yeah.
But obviously he's one of the Nova boys. But they already traded one of the Nova boys. So
I know. Poor Dante.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think
with the Celtics kind of out of the loop for next season with Tatum gone and some of the trades, which we'll talk about, the East is kind of wide open.
Totally.
I mean, the Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton's going to be out for the season.
People
The Bucks are kind of cooked. Who's going to be good?
People were talking the Cavaliers.
Yeah, of course.
They were basically just too injured to win it this year.
But the Cavs got destroyed by the Knicks when they lost 2 years ago or whatever in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's 2 years ago.
True.
I think the Knicks could get a new coach. They could make some smart trades.
Right, they did already fire their coach.
Yeah.
Is there anyone you probably don't have, you don't care really yet?
I've heard no one wants the job.
I heard they were, they were like trying to poach some coaches.
What about the Denver Nuggets coach that got fired this year?
Yeah, Mike Malone.
Oh, yeah, Mike Malone.
I think he's like one of the lead guys.
I think that could be a good option.
Either him or the Grizzlies coach.
Right.
The Grizzlies coach that got fired, I think would be funny because I don't know him obviously. I mean, I'm just some, but whenever they do like the listen-ins or whatever on the huddles, he's like the most positive guy ever.
Really, really like him.
I don't know. It's just an interesting coaching. Like he's so nice. Like he's like we're doing so good at this. We just gotta keep going. And I feel like it's the exact opposite of Tom Thibodeau.
Totally, it would be a huge change in energy. But I think they had some like bad chemistry stuff going on. There's some clips of them sort of getting into it on the bench.
Tom Thibodeau?
No,
or the Grizzlies.
Sorry, the Knicks, like Jalen Brunson, Kat.
With each other?
Yeah, OG.
Oh, I didn't really know.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I heard about that, yeah.
So, I think there's some dynamic issues and perhaps like a hugely positive energy could make a big difference.
Okay. So that's okay. And then my Bucks kind of cooked with Dame out and literally zero assets. Probably one of the most unfortunate situations ever.
But Giannis is hanging around.
For now.
We'll
see what happens with that. We might have to do an emergency pod if something happens with that, but...
Giannis emergency pod would be crazy.
But okay, I think that's enough out east.
Yeah, I think we've discussed that enough. I mean, I think it'll be exciting. Oh. Yeah, I think a lot of teams will have a shot to like make a breakaway run.
Yeah, it could be fun. But I think everything is lining up pretty well for the Thunder to do well again next year.
Totally.
And potentially go back-to-back, which hasn't happened in a really long time, like 10 years since the Warriors. They obviously had a very impressive run. I think Chet was pretty disappointing offensively. J-Dub was really good, though.
Yeah.
He kind of but cemented himself as, like, legit, like, number 2. Like, he was All-NBA this year. He was also All-Defense. And now he's a champion. And he was killing it in the finals. Like, he just had a great run, I feel like.
I kind of see him as, like, a Jamal Murray type player.
Yeah.
Or, like, role
Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
Just really good. I mean, obviously those are great. Yeah. So yeah, good for them. They obviously still have a ton of assets. They can get better, but I think they'll probably just run it back next year. And I think Hardenstein is like his last year next year, so they'll be off money. I think things are just lining up really well for the Thunder.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we should probably talk about the Mavericks.
The Mavericks.
If we're looking at prospects for next year, I mean, they're going to have Kyrie could come back.
Right. He tore his ACL, but he'll probably be back midway through the season.
Yeah, and Cooper Flag.
And Cooper Flag.
I don't actually think they'll be contenders off those two. And Anthony Davis. I don't know. But more exciting maybe than this past year.
Yeah. I think I'm looking at all the Texas teams as really intriguing.
The Spurs and the Rockets, too.
Yeah.
Totally.
Because, I mean, I expect them all to be playoffs teams. If any of them aren't, it would be disappointing for them.
Yeah. Should we get into more of, like, the draft?
Yeah, let's get into that. You already mentioned Cooper Flag, obviously.
Yeah. What were your, like, emotions going into draft night?
So we haven't even talked about the lottery, huh?
Did we not talk about it when we got the 8th pick? I think you're right, we didn't.
So that was obviously pretty unfortunate.
That was a huge blow.
But, like, we only had, like, the 7th best odds or something. 6th, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was. I think we fell 2 spots, so I think we had the 6.
So obviously not ideal getting the 8th pick.
No, it was heartbreaking. I was still going in there after our ethical tank, being like, the Nets will be rewarded. We're about to get Cooper Flag. I even was like, I know I was lying to myself, but I could really envision us getting a top 3 pick.
Even top 5 would have made a huge difference, I feel like.
I mean, this year, yeah, for sure.
But, you know, we're going to get another good pick next year.
I know, it's not like things will have changed much. I was also sad for the Wizards.
Right. Got the 6th pick.
So they fell way more even than we did.
Because, yeah, they were the number 2 or number 1 odds.
Yeah.
But I think the Wizards aren't in a terrible spot. We don't have to talk too much about them because who cares about the Wizards? I mean, even though they have some of my favorite players. But
totally. Well, I think going into the draft for the Nets, we had a historic amount of first-round picks.
Yes, and we didn't trade any of them.
No.
In fact, we went in with 5 total picks, 4 first rounds and 1 second round. We ended up with 5 first round picks, 0 second round picks. We ended up trading that guy to the Lakers or something.
Yeah.
And we got that 5th first round pick from taking on Terrence Mann from the Hawks, which was kind of crazy because.
Do you want to describe the whole trade?
Yeah. So essentially, Porzingis goes to the Hawks. Terrence Mann goes from the Hawks to the Nets. And George Niang goes from the Hawks to the Celtics. So the Celtics helped cut money to get under the limit. We get a first round pick. There was also some second round picks thrown around. I don't really know. And then the Hawks get Porzingis. So it's kind of an intriguing trade. It's kind of cool.
I think it's intriguing too because I feel like I have no idea what Porzingis is going to be like next season.
It's hard to say because he has the. People are acting like they don't know what he has, sickness.
Do you think they know?
Well, Brad Stevens, he said, the Celtics, president or whatever, GM, he said he has like upper respiratory.
It's like chronic bronchitis.
Yes, yeah. He has long COVID. I think it's pretty obvious.
Oh.
Either
Does he
that.
have COVID that we know of? Or no?
I don't know. I mean, almost certainly.
Intriguing.
I just feel like that's almost certainly it. So he must have like a weak immune system too or something. It's just...
There's like a lot of misinformation around what's happening to him. I think it's just like people like to start rumors. Like a lot of people were saying like if you look it up in the forums, they're all saying he has HIV.
No,
like,
that's
it's
stupid.
Ridiculous. Yeah. Or like a stomach thing.
I think it's probably, what I said, but it doesn't matter.
It's probably really frustrating for him, but he's actually not that old. So I think he has like a very...
I mean, if he's healthy, the Hawks
They'll
could be good. They could be nice because they'll get Jalen Johnson back from injury and obviously they still have Trae Young.
It's a pretty big reward for the Hawks.
Pretty fun team, potentially. But for the Nets, we get Terrence Mann. I don't know if you know anything about him.
No.
So he was on the Clippers a while. He had one really good playoff run, and then they paid him a bunch, basically, for that one playoff run. Then he kind of fell off, and then they traded him to the Hawks. And so he's kind of getting overpaid, but we had so much cap space that, I mean, it was basically just like signing a free agent, overpaying for a free agent. So I think he'll be cool. I mean, it's not like we had like a shooting guard, small forward. He's not going to demand the ball or take away shots from Cam Thomas or any of the rookies. So
I heard. Wait, how old is Terrence Mann?
he's like 27, maybe, something around there. Maybe 28.
Okay, never mind. He's not a part of this, but I saw something. Dang it! I feel like I should look it up to get it exactly right. But if we re-sign Cam Thomas and Day'Ron Sharpe, I think we have like.
How much money left?
Well, sorry, it wasn't about the money. It's like we have like 5 players that are under 23.
Oh.
Wait, let me see if I.
5 players under 20. Wait, we have 5 rookies though.
Yeah, I think this was. I saw this before the draft.
Oh, okay. I guess before we get too much into the draft, the Nets recently picked up the team options on a lot of our guys.
I messed up. I'm so sorry. Can I
Yeah.
say it? Okay, if Day'Ron and Cam, this is according to Doug Norrie. If people know Doug Norrie, he did the Big Nets podcast for a
Ears
while.
on the ground with the Nets.
Yes. If we sign Cam Thomas and Day'Ron Sharpe, we have 9 players under 23. That's crazy.
I like that though.
Cam Thomas, 23. Day'Ron Sharpe, 23. Danny Wolf, newly drafted. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. 21. Noah Clowney, 20. I always forget he's that young. Drake Whitehead, also 20.
And then the 4 others.
And then the 4 others that we drafted that we talked about. That's awesome though.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome. I feel like this year's going to be another wash. I mean, you can't really expect a rebuild in 1 year.
Yeah.
But I feel like the year after next, the Nets should seriously consider signing some older players. Figure out. This year we got to figure out which young guys are legit.
Totally.
And that goes for the rookies too, which is, I guess, a lot of pressure, but it's gonna be an important year for that perspective. We're still gonna suck. Obviously, I think the lottery is still gonna be the most important day of the season. But that's the way it goes with rebuilds.
Totally, it's fine. I'll be happy to go to my Nets games for really cheap for 1 more year.
Yeah,
at least.
Gotta stay patient, and at least now we have more guys that we can be intrigued about, like Ebewan, Keon Johnson, Jalen Wilson, those type of guys. Very cool, and we're still gonna have all those guys. As I mentioned, we picked up the team options. No Clowney, I still love, but now we have even more just to watch, because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch most of these guys in college. The only one I knew about really was Yegor.
What's his name? Timmy. Drew Timmy.
Did
you know about him?
Yeah, we still got Drew Timmy.
Okay, I think it would be cool for the draft. You can tell me if this is too much. If we kind of speed round 1 through 8, the picks 1 through 8, because feasibly we can kind of maybe had our eyes on all of those.
It's important to give context to our pick.
And then after we get to 8, then we just do the Nets others pick.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so first Mavericks draft Cooper Flag. We knew that was going to happen.
It was obvious.
We talked about it. Mavericks could be intriguing next year. Okay.
Totally.
Spurs draft Dylan Harper. Spurs, they're going to be super fun to watch. They got the point guard of the future, plus they have sorry for the siren,
we're in DC.
Yeah. You
can
probably
have a lot of sirens in DC.
Mom was complaining about that.
It's just a city. It's
Yeah.
just like any other city. It does seem like still a lot of action.
I think we're good though. Okay, so Dylan Harper, cool pick. They're obviously going to be really good, really young.
I do think 1 and 2 was not going to be a surprise.
Yeah, it was
They were not going to diverge from those 2.
Okay, and then number 3 is where it gets interesting, because going into the year, kind of Ace Bailey was seen as the number 3, but then he was having all that weird pre-draft stuff, not interviewing, not doing workouts.
He's had some drama.
So the Sixers went with VJ Edgecombe from Baylor.
Even the fact that the Sixers got the 3rd pick is
Insane.
And that the Mavericks got all of those 3 you can make arguments for are very unexpected.
I think the Sixers, their backcourt, I always get backcourt and frontcourt mixed up for whatever reason. Frontcourt is the big guys, right?
Yes.
Okay. Backcourt, it just doesn't necessarily make sense. Like what? Like from what perspective are you the front and the back? Offense, I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's for when you're on offense. It's who's in the front and who's in the back. Right?
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know. I feel like I usually ask you these things,
Okay.
but whatever.
Backcourt is solidified. They got Jared McCain, Tyrese Maxey, and VJ Edgecombe. That's nice.
Oh yeah, Jared McCain will be back.
That's nice. That's nice.
And they have Embiid still.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Okay. Number 4, VJ Edgecombe. He also has a cool story. I don't know if you were watching.
Yeah,
the,
he grew up without
poor,
electricity,
very poor,
basically. Yeah.
So it was very cool to see.
Said he was living off a generator for like 8 years.
Yeah. So very cool story.
Very
with
happy
that.
for him,
Yeah.
honestly. And they're gonna have a lot of cool young guys, I think.
Okay. Number 4, Con Knipple.
First team that deserves to be there, the Hornets. Like up top, I mean, with draft picks.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And they
The Hornets suck.
they went with like a very safe pick. I feel like.
Con Knipple.
Yeah, I think it was a good pick. I mean, I was not a fan of Con Knipple. I thought it was crazy. He went top 5. It was not a guy the Nets should have ever had their eyes on.
For sure.
But good for the Hornets. I think he could be all right with them.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, here's where Ace Bailey goes to the Jazz. And this one was kind of disappointing. This was the first one that kind of hurt. Because we knew those top 3 guys probably. Con Knipple we didn't care about. Ace Bailey, he literally said he wanted
to play in Brooklyn. Or in DC.
I know.
And it feels like, and since the Wizards had the 6th pick and the Nets had the 8th pick, and Ace Bailey was hinting that he wanted to go to one of our cities, obviously, when
The Jazz just said, fuck it. We don't care what you want.
I think that's just crazy. I mean, I don't know if, like, there's obviously a lot of talk around, like, how much should players control their own destiny on draft night.
The one, like, recent scenario I remember this happened was with the Kings. You remember the Kings had been awful for, like, 20 years.
Yeah.
They're still kind of bad, but... And then Jaden Ivey, I don't know if you know, he was...
Not really.
He was supposed to go number 4, but then he was like, I don't want to go to the Kings. So he ended up going number 5 to the Pistons. And that kind of worked out for both teams.
It did.
And so the Kings listened to him, whereas the Jazz are, like, not doing that. So they're risky.
I was, like, wondering if we were going to have, like, a trade with...
Trade up and get him.
Trade up to get Ace Bailey. Like, that's what I was expecting on draft night a little bit.
I expected some trades in the top because there was rumors that the Hornets were going to trade back and still get Con Knipple.
Yeah, because...
Yeah, because he wasn't necessarily a top 4 prospect, but I guess they were worried the Jazz might take him, or I don't know. Nothing happened, and so Ace Bailey, I think he's going to end up actually being really good, to be honest.
I think he's going to be great. He might have just, like, problems with team dynamic.
Polarizing, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't really care.
Okay, yeah. We can move on. Number 6, Wizards draft, Trey Johnson.
I've heard nothing about this trade, honestly. Or
About
this
this
draft.
pick?
Sorry, this
Yeah.
pick, yeah.
Trey Johnson, he's like he's really good at scoring.
Okay. I guess you need that.
Yeah. Pelicans draft Jeremiah Fears.
This one, on the contrary, I heard a lot about. People are like, what were the Pelicans thinking?
Right, because he's a small guard that scores. And they also, so one trade that happened was they traded CJ McCollum, their veteran point guard, to the Wizards for Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
Kelly Olynyk was also in there, but I loved that for the Wizards, to be honest. I was never a huge Jordan Poole fan, and I do like CJ McCollum. I feel like he's a good mentor. But so getting Fears, and Jordan Poole, he still hasn't really cemented himself since leaving the Thunder.
Yeah.
So he kind of has to figure himself out, and then getting Fears, who's kind of like, who's definitely going to take a year probably to figure himself out, being a small point guard. It's, I don't know. I feel like with a name like Jeremiah Fears, though, you're bound to be a star. Like, it's just a cool-ass name. Like
Totally. It's definitely a name I feel like I was hearing a lot.
And
draft.
So that pick, I know the Nets were also kind of eyeing him, I feel like. I feel like it would have been a lot of overlap with Cam Thomas, though.
Yeah.
So if we... I like our pick, which is unpopular opinion. So number 8, Nets draft Jaeger Demon from BYU. And this was a very controversial pick. Nets have been getting a lot of shit just for their overall draft, but especially this pick.
I think this was the pick that really made people upset.
And I was happy about it because I kind of predicted this in our previous podcast. I don't know if you remember, but I was like, I can almost guarantee next year we're going to end up with a tall white point guard between him
Dang.
and tall white European point guard.
Dang.
And so here we are. And we were rooting for him so he plays in the Big 12, BYU.
Were 3 of our 5 picks white?
Yeah. Yeah.
And 2 were Jewish?
2 were Jewish.
This is
And
just
one
like
was
a crazy
Russian.
year.
One was Russian.
One was French?
French. And the other guy was just, I think he's American. But, okay, what are your thoughts on this, though?
I didn't know that much about this guy, to be honest. I don't really watch that much college. I was excited to see someone coming from BYU. Like, we have a lot of friends and family that went to BYU, and I know, like, they're trying to...
We're Mormon adjacent.
Mormon adjacent. Yeah, we're Mormon adjacent. And I know BYU is trying to, like, become more of a sports school. So, I think...
And they had a really good year. They made it to the Sweet 16.
Totally. But I feel like they aren't sending a lot of people to the league. So, big moment. And I'm excited he's part of our team. Yeah, I don't really... The name I kept hearing was Malawash. Is that how you say it?
Come on, Malawash.
Yeah, I think that's what most of the, like, talking heads that I listened to wanted for the Brooklyn Nets. Can you kind of, like, give me a little bit of, like, a argument between why we would want one over the other?
Okay, so we obviously have a lot of holes on our roster. We practically don't have anything that we love at this point. So the most important positions are kind of center and point guard, I guess. And so we probably wanted that for our number 1 pick. And Kaman Malawach, I feel like the Nets are really good at drafting centers and developing centers, rather. I mean, we've seen Claxton pan out. We saw Jared Allen. He's still obviously having a great career.
Mm-hmm.
And Day'Ron Sharpe.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely an argument because it's a pretty safe pick. It's almost a guarantee that he would end up being a starting level center. But we still have Claxton, and I think we're still going to re-sign Sharpe because he's coming off an injury. He's going to be cheap, and he's pretty good, especially as a backup. But there's been rumors that we're going to trade Claxton to the Lakers or someone. So in a way, it would have made sense for us to get a center here, but I've seen memes, right, or whatever, talks about how we basically just got a bunch of guys that are going to pass the ball to Cam Thomas.
Yeah.
And so
that's like the whole plan.
Jaeger Demon definitely falls into that category. He's a great passer, and that's really his main skill at this level in his career. But he actually wasn't that bad of a shooter in college. I think that's kind of underrated. I think he could become a good shooter, and I think that's going to be the key.
Totally, and I think what I've been hearing is, given the supporting cast that he had at BYU, his stats are impressive, especially his assist stats, just because, like, he didn't have a ton of help out there. I mean, they were good, but, like, if we're just looking at individual, and just looking at individual talent.
And he started every game, like, at the point guard.
Yeah.
And they made it to the Sweet 16. I mean, that's pretty impressive as a 19-year-old. And the other thing is, people were saying, like, once he played against good competition, he didn't play well. I saw that a big criticism of him, and I don't necessarily understand that. Because he played great in the tournament, and his stats in conference play are, like, the exact same as what they were pre-conference. And he's playing in the best conference, or second best or something.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe you would have wanted to see him improve throughout the season, like, from a stats perspective. But I think he did if he's putting up the same stats against better teams.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't necessarily understand that criticism of him, and I think it is a project pick, which I think is fine because we have nothing. I mean, this year's going to be a wash. So
and what we do have is an amazing coach.
True.
So we can really build something here. I think it's like, if we didn't take any big swings, people would also be complaining. So it's kind of like whatever.
The criticism is, I guess, is also that we could have traded back and got him later. But
well, all I think is if one of these 5 guys is amazing, that's great.
Yeah.
And we have 5 rookies.
Let me say, I think if only one pans out,
that's going to feel like a failure.
Yeah. But if 2, I think we'd be happy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's not going to be 1. I don't think it'll be just 1.
I know. I find that hard to believe.
I don't think 2 of them are going to be superstars, but...
No. But I think 2 of them... I think he could end up being a starting level point guard or small forward or wherever he plays.
Totally.
For sure. Great connector. Team player, not selfish. I like it.
Smart.
But whatever. Most people didn't because they thought it was too early for him, but okay.
I mean, there's plenty of other people we would have taken if they were still there.
Right, like Jeremiah Fears, Ace Bailey.
Yeah,
I think were the 2
big
main
ones. Yeah, so you had to.
So it was between
adjust.
him and Malawach, and I mean the Nets knew what they wanted. Yeah,
that was their plan.
There was Noah Senge, but he's also a very project French guy. I like Jaeger Tevin more than him. I feel like he'd be kind of overlap with Clowney. Okay.
Let's move on to our next pick.
Yes, at number, let's see.
19.
That was our next pick?
Yeah.
Yes. Nets draft Nolan Traore. Another French guy.
We know less about him.
Of course.
I feel like because he's French.
And he is a guard.
Yeah.
So, obviously different than that other French guy I just mentioned. And, I don't know, another European guard, shorter than Jaeger Denham, played overseas, didn't play college.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just like another project, right? We're taking 2 shots at point guards.
Mm-hmm.
One of them's bound to pan out.
Totally.
I don't know. They must like him. I'm sure they did plenty of scouting on him. But obviously we don't watch EuroLeague basketball.
So we don't really have much to say about him, but fingers crossed that it turns out okay.
Another good passer. And so, again, as I was saying, we want guys that pass to Cam Thomas. That's the idea. But, cool pick. I'm excited to see him play in the NBA, truthfully, just so I can get a better idea of him. But it seemed like this wasn't that unpopular of a pick. People were just confused why we were taking so many point guards. But because we don't have any. And if Jaeger Denham doesn't pan out, then that would suck. But now we got a couple options, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay. Then number 22 and 23, we take Drake Powell from North Carolina. Oh, wait, sorry. That was, number 22, we take Drake Powell from North Carolina. And then our next picks are 26 and 27. So Drake Powell.
It's so confusing how
because there was some
list
trades.
is, because we got
it changed.
This is the first. The Drake Powell pick is the one we got from the Hawks in the most recent trade.
Yes, for taking
Mann.
on Terrence Mann's contract.
I
Another guard, but he's more of a combo guard, like a 2, I would say. And I think he can play alongside Cam Thomas. He could play the 3 or something, Cam Thomas at the 2, and maybe Jaeger or Nolan Traore at the 1.
Can I just say it's crazy to see? I know you were born in 2000, so this might not be as crazy for you, but I keep seeing their birthdays, and it's like 2006.
It is insane.
That feels really, really crazy.
It is insane.
I'm like, that should be a young child.
Yeah, it's crazy. But is this a grown-ass man?
Do you know much about Drake Powell? I would say...
So, North Carolina obviously went to a good school, played a lot.
top 15 player.
Top 15 in the 2024 class, and he is from North Carolina. Again, I don't know too much. I don't watch too much North Carolina basketball.
They're kind of our enemies.
At least used to
as
be.
Kansas
They
fans,
used to be.
yeah.
But I think he could be all right. I mean, he played alongside a really established point guard in R.J. Davis at North Carolina. So even though he's like a guard, he's not a point guard. I would not consider him a point guard. So kind of more like a 3-and-D wing potentially. You know, not much to say. Again, we got to see him on the court.
Yeah.
And thinking about it some more, imagine the lineup with all 5 of our rookies. That could be kind of fun.
Could they do?
Well, okay, let's get to our next 2 picks. Number 26 and 27, we take Ben Seraph and Danny Wolf, the 2 Jews.
Back-to-back Jews is crazy.
Shout out to the Jews. We're Jewish, by the way.
Yeah, we're not. That would be a little weird.
Okay, so Ben Seraph, he played international, EU or the EuroLeague or whatever. He started off in the Israeli league. He is Israeli. He's more of he's also listed as a guard, but again, I think he's more of a combo guard, kind of like Drake Powell.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. We kind of took 2 point guards and 2 combo guards. So if just one of them can pan out from either, I think that would be great, in a way.
Totally. Don't know much about this guy, but the other one, Danny Wolf, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
He fell pretty far in the draft. Do you know much about that?
I
know that before he got drafted to the Nets, he was like crying because he had fallen so bad from what he had expected.
Well, I think I don't think he was necessarily. I think he was just happy to get drafted. I think he almost declared for the draft last season.
And then didn't.
And then went back, and I think he may have got drafted potentially at a lower spot if he went last year. So I don't think he had a great year at Michigan, but his highlights, everybody's been talking about his highlight tapes, and that's because they are actually pretty damn fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
He's like dunking on, his like baseline drives and dunks are kind of crazy. Like he's got like the pump fake, and then he's kind of like a stretch big, but he's not a great shooter. So that could obviously be a big factor with him.
Yeah, I just heard he's like pretty coordinated for his size.
Pretty athletic for his size.
Totally,
too.
which I think will just be
for a white Jew too.
Don't see many of those bopping around 7 feet tall, and
he also went to Yale and transferred to Michigan.
Right.
Yeah. And he was pretty good on Yale. They had some success there.
That's great.
So probably a smart kid.
And I know that's our last pick, but I'm excited about him.
I know. So overall, he's a center. We didn't really take any power forwards.
Oh, and because he fell in the draft, I think it's worth noting, like, our value per pick. He's pretty high.
Yeah, kind of makes up for the Jaeger.
Exactly. Like, no one could complain about drafting this guy at that number.
No, this is the one pick that seemed like consensus good pick.
Could be a steal.
Yeah.
Depending on how a few things could turn out.
And again, because we're good at developing centers, I think he could definitely pan out.
Yeah.
The thing is, his shot is going to be a big factor, but that's the case for pretty much every young guy, because shooting is so important these days.
I feel like all of their profiles are saying like their offense needs to be developed or whatever.
Yeah, but so this guy, he is the one older guy of all of them. Okay, actually, he was born in 2004. He's not that old. But like they're all like 19, 20. I guess this guy's only 21, so
he can legally drink.
Yeah. And if he is a shooter, he could potentially play alongside. If his shot like pans out, he could potentially play alongside Claxton or Day'Ron Sharpe. But that's what I was saying. If we have I think we could potentially have a lineup with all 5 of our.
I want to hear you, and don't ask me because I'm not going to do this, but I want to hear you make a starting lineup with 2 of these new players.
And our current roster.
And our current roster.
Okay, assuming we're going to re-sign Cam Thomas.
Let's
Because that
assume
seems like
Cam
it's in the
Thomas.
cards.
I would say that is probably the
Same with Dayron Sharp.
and Dayron Sharp.
I think Trendon Watford, he might be too expensive to re-sign because he was pretty good for us.
So actually, sorry, before you answer that question, who do you think
He's going to be on the roster.
is going to be on the roster? Or who, maybe it'd be easier to answer who is not going to be on the roster anymore.
D'Lo and Trendon Watford. I don't have my ear to the ground, but I think it's going to be hard to re-sign those guys.
Mm.
And considering we drafted 4 guards, I don't think we're going to re-sign D'Lo. Unless we get him for like a minimum or something, which is possible.
I saw another team was like,
But I don't think it's likely.
who was inquiring after D'Lo? Have you heard about this? Was it the Suns?
No, I have no idea. I haven't been really tracking D'Lo.
I know a team has been like,
Well, then
making calls for D'Lo already.
they'll probably pay him a decent amount then.
Yeah.
So I don't think. I would like to get Trendon Watford back though. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm just gonna go into assumption. Let's just say to be safe, we only get Cam Thomas back. Dayron Sharp's not gonna start anyways, so it doesn't matter.
You're right.
Okay,
But
so
that would be very disappointing.
yeah, so we got Cam Thomas, Cam Johnson, and Claxton.
Okay.
And with 2 of our rookies, who would fit best? Well, we still have Noah Clowney. And we may start Noah Clowney over any of these rookies.
Yeah.
Let me think. I think our starting
This
lineup.
is bad.
No.
This is supposed to be 5 first-round picks, and you can't fit them into a starting lineup.
No. I think Jaeger Demon at the 1, Cam Thomas at the 2, Cam Johnson at the 3, Noah Clowney at the 4, Claxton at the 5. And if we wanted to start
So
a
you
second,
got 1.
yeah, and I think we totally could start Nolan Traore or I'm blanking. Help me out.
Suraf? Danny Wolf?
No.
The other one.
Yes, I always forget his name.
I know, we're so mean to him.
The UConn guy.
Go back down. 22 or
Drake
23.
Powell.
Drake Powell.
Okay. We could start Drake Powell or Nolan Traore over Noah Clowney. We'd obviously be smaller without Noah Clowney, but we got Claxton holding it down low. And Jaeger Denham is 6'9".
That's true.
So I think it will be either one of those 2 or Clowney starting next to Cam Johnson on the wing. And I like that.
Yeah, I
like
think that could be
lineup.
cool.
Then we can have, the other ones coming off the bench because we don't have very many roster spots filled out. And they should all get a bunch of minutes.
Which, yeah, will be great.
And we'll get to evaluate how good they actually are. I don't know. I feel like it's not a bad fit.
Just like the fun thing after the draft is I'm just like, are we going to get a guy that's like really good and going to stay in Brooklyn for a really long time? Just at this point in my fandom of the Nets, that would be really exciting.
To know for sure that
Just-
one of them is the guy.
Just to feel like that after this season.
Oh, after this upcoming season.
Yeah. I
for
think
sure.
that would be awesome.
That's what I'm hoping for, exactly. That we get a top pick and that some of these guys really
I feel like
show some stuff.
the experience I had with this last year was 2 years ago? Last year?
With Tariq Whitehead. And,
I was going to say Jalen Wilson.
yeah, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago, and I feel like I haven't had that moment where I'm like, this is the guy, and he's gonna be in Brooklyn forever.
Noah Clowney almost is there.
I think Noah Clowney could be. I mean, Noah Clowney was injured a lot last season.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I just
definitely not solidified though.
it's totally okay for them to not have like the hottest first or second season ever, but I'm hopeful that someone's gonna come out and like everyone's gonna be like, whoa.
I know. I'm really hoping Jaeger Demon does that because of
I
all the
think so,
shit
too.
that the Nets have been getting for taking him. And I really liked him.
Yeah, and I don't know if I trust Sean Marks, but I trust Jordy.
I trust them. I trust them both. I trust them both.
Heard it here.
Shout out our Australian king, Sean Marks. Let me confirm he's Australian. He's New Zealand. Fuck.
It's crazy.
Have you ever seen the New Zealand flag and the Australian flag?
No.
They look so similar. It's crazy.
I guess that makes sense. A lot of flags look like the U.S. flag.
I guess so, in a way.
Do
But
you know-
look, that's the New Zealand flag. Now let me show you the Australia flag.
Oh, Jesus. Put them on the screen. when
There's
this is
2
on
less
YouTube.
stars in the New Zealand flag, for whatever reason.
Because it's smaller.
Look at the shades of red. The shades of red are slightly different.
That's messed up. Did you know there's a flag that's not a rectangle?
Yeah. Is it the... No, it's not this one. What is it? Is that African country?
Just...
Flag that is not rectangular.
All I knew is that it's like a not rectangle.
There it is, Nepal.
Nepal.
Fuck, I was close. I guess, what I guess, Sri Lanka?
I thought you were going to say African country, and I said that's not an African country. That's cool. I also think it's fun to have some new international players because I feel like there's a lot of international players on the Liberty.
Oh, yeah.
Liberty, so hot right now.
Yeah.
I hope you've been tuning in.
Not too much, honestly.
I have
but-
a new favorite player. She's new on the team. Natasha Cloud.
Ooh.
Look her up.
I need to get
She's
hit.
actually dating a teammate.
Oh, that's always fun. That's
Lot
always
of
fun as
fun.
fuck.
I
That's why you gotta love the WNBA.
You don't see NBA players dating each other like
no,
this.
no.
Huge.
The drama
The
can be
potential
insane.
for drama, the potential for romance.
Oh wait, they're engaged. I'll be damned.
I don't even think I knew that.
Oh wait, no.
No.
That's from 6 years ago.
That they broke up. I think they got
Oh.
married and they got divorced.
Oh wow, yeah.
She's dating Isabel Harrison on.
Opens
the
up about
Nets.
her girlfriend Isabel Harrison for the first time.
Isabel Harrison does identify as straight, but you know, it's a journey for everyone. Happy Pride.
Yeah, that's cool. Good for them.
And Natasha Cloud is not only like a bundle of energy and so fun to watch, she's also like really involved in like social issues and is happy to be in Brooklyn, which I love. And
Yeah.
she just has like good energy for everyone, loves Ellie, loves the fans, loves all her teammates. She posts a lot of TikToks, so I see a lot of like, I feel like we have like a lot of kind of like, and Natasha Cloud is older. We have like a lot of elder millennials, so I'm not like getting content out of the Liberty in the way I was wanting to, you know.
But now
Natasha
you are.
Cloud is bringing it.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
I really like her.
They're
And-
killing it too.
They're
They
killing
can
it.
go back to back.
They went 9-0.
We'll be rooting for
At the
that.
beginning of the season. Yeah, back to back would be awesome. I am so proud of them. Enjoying it. I'm gonna try and see the Indiana Fever game,
Ooh, when is that?
July 22nd.
Oh, okay.
Although I'm waiting till much closer to get to. Do you want to go?
July 22nd. I might be out of town.
Okay, well, we don't need to talk about that. I think I'm waiting.
I'll be in Detroit.
I am gonna wait a while because I don't want to spend like $100 to see the Fever and then Caitlin Clark is injured.
$100 to see the Fever and Caitlin Clark is injured. That would suck. But it's gonna be so expensive.
It's already expensive, so I'm just gonna like.
Well, you could buy it now and resell it
But what if Caitlin Clark gets injured? Do you think I'll be able to resell?
for the same value. Probably
They're
not.
like $400.
What?
Yeah. It's like
Wow.
I think it's like $180 to get into the building right now.
Wow.
The girls love Caitlin Clark. Anyways, do you have any final thoughts on?
No, I mean we didn't really talk about trades around the league. We talked about the Porzingis, Terrence Mann.
I feel like we only really need to talk about the ones that affect the Nets, right?
Yeah, what were some other ones? I mean,
Talk about Jordan Poole, Kevin Durant.
we did not talk about Kevin Durant.
For
But-
a while, people were talking about Kevin Durant back to the Nets.
Yeah.
Did you ever think that was there was even a chance?
Well, people were talking about Kevin Durant to the Knicks too.
Mm-hmm. But he doesn't want to pay taxes.
Yeah, and that would not be the place to go.
New York taxes are quite high.
Yeah, I mean, again, we already talked about the Spurs and Mavericks, and I mentioned Houston could be fun too. We don't need to talk about Kevin Durant. I mean,
He's in our past.
yeah, and now he's in the Suns' past too.
Yeah, I mean, but the Rockets are going to be exciting.
Yeah, for sure. I'll tune into some games.
They kept the twin in the trade, right?
Yeah.
Almond?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll be a cool game.
Yeah.
This is one of our longest podcasts ever, and I can tell because we're, like, fading. So maybe we should do a quick shout out. And,
yeah, well, we had a lot to cover. This is a
This was
damn long
informational.
podcast. Holy scheisse.
There's nothing to cut out, even.
No, I guess not. Okay, shout outs though.
Yeah, you want to go first?
I think I've shouted this person out before, but shout out Mom.
Can I come in?
She's in the other room.
Our mom's here.
She may make an appearance.
She brought us together just now. I would also like to shout out Mom because it would be weird if Jared did and I didn't. Hello. One of our 5 listeners.
Yeah, but we appreciate that.
Fan of the week.
This was a live show in a sense. We had a live audience.
Yeah. I think she took a nap the whole time we were recording it.
Okay.
Anyways, thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks y'all.
Talk to you soon.
Peace.